Got it.
This is Ekko here, and we're in Ekko's kind of foyer. And, well, actually, I might go ahead and try it here. What we're going to do is we're trying to work on a counter conditioning exercise. So what I'm doing is I'm delivering a high-value treat, and I have one of the guardians outside, and she's about to knock on the door anytime I say a number like 7. Now, you saw that stopped her. Now, knock a little bit softer this time when I say the number 3. So you see now that time she didn't stop chewing, she continued chewing it. Counter conditioning is the principle where we replace the dog's reacting or behaving one way with another behavior, or we replace it with a positive association. So what I'm doing is taking the soft, tricky trainer chicken livers, and I'm letting her nibble on it, and then I'm saying numbers like 44 and 13. Now as we do this, she's going to gradually start knocking a little bit louder and a little bit louder, like when I say 7. And now she's going to go to 2 knocks, like when I say 10. The whole point of this is we're starting to associate 7, the knock, with the delivery of a high-value treat. Now, eventually, we'd like to do this with your doorbell, 9. And the next time, we're going to go to 3 knocks. Now, what I would do is kind of figure out the settings so you can do this on your phone, and then maybe disconnect or mute the wall unit so we can do it with the doorbell as well. You can use this for anything. 3 times in a row. And all right, so next time we're going to do it, we're going to knock even harder. Give me 1 second. But she's got 4 on the floor. And now we're going to knock even harder, 9. So that was a little bit too much. For counter condition, the key is you don't want the dog to react. A lot of times my 2 tests, I'm not doing it right now, is I put that on a sit, 19. So when she gets up out of a sit, next time knock a little bit harder still. Sit. Oh, or down will work too. 11. 20. So now she's not even looking at the door. Normally this would cause her to bark and she would rush the door, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So what we're doing is we're replacing one sound with another. Right now when the doorbell rings or there's a knock, it's guaranteed excitement if somebody's coming in my house. And I got to jump up on them and I don't have rules, so I'm going to want them to know I'm in charge. Well, the rules and structure we talked about upstairs off camera are going to help her identify as being more in the follower position. And then when we replace this stimulus, it no longer represents somebody's coming. It just means that I'm going to get a high value treat, like 25. Now, right there I didn't do it, but usually I put the dog in a sit because if the dog gets up, they're close to their breaking point. If they stop chewing the treat, they're close to their breaking point. So what we would do then is we would turn the volume down of the ringer or increase the distance between the dog and the ringer so that it's not as intense. And the idea is you want the dog to practice this, what we call sub-threshold, before the dog's reacting. Once the dog reacts, you push too far. This is a process that takes a lot of repetition. But the great thing about it is when you do it properly, it solves the problem for good. So right now, if somebody rings the doorbell, it's a guaranteed excitement of someone coming in. After a while, no, half the time or 3/4 of the time, it's just I'm getting a treat and nobody comes in. So we're kind of taking away the intensity because nobody's coming in, and we're replacing the activity with something pleasurable. And so instead of barking, I'm getting these treats. So you can use this for doorbells, for vacuum cleaners, I've had one guy with his electric shaver, it set the dog off, fire alarms. I do this with fireworks a lot this time of the year. I'll buy an MP3 of a recording of a fireworks show that's 2 minutes of firecrackers going off. And I'm going to play it at volume 1 while the dog's chewing on it. So this way the dogs, we talked off camera a little bit about breaking things down to individual steps. So in this case, I'm not having the sight of the firecracker exploding or the smell of sulfur. We're just doing the volume, and we're even controlling that, manipulating that, so it's so low that the dog barely hears it. Each time we practice this, I usually have about 8 to 12 treats, and practice sessions would be 1 or 2 minutes. Each time we practice it, I turn the intensity up. Like in this case, I was having her knock, at first just 1 knock softly, then a couple knocks, then 3 knocks, then 4 knocks, then 5 knocks, and then we're starting to make the knocks louder and louder. You want to get to the point where eventually you're like, and the dog is not reacting. So right there, she reacted out of movement, but she didn't bark and run at it barking like she normally, I'm guessing before I showed up, if I had done that, she would have been barking at it, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so basically this is a great process because it utilizes positive reinforcement. It's a great way of positive dog training, and it just helps your dog get on the same page as you. So when people show up at the door and the doorbell rings, she doesn't bark any longer.